Hi everyone. Now that we finished drawing this grid drawing of this pumpkin and sunflower still life for 5th grade, remember we divided the paper into 4 quadrants, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we transferred that onto our paper. Now I'm going to show you how you can add value and texture and finish your drawing. So step 1, you might recall our elements of artwork that we did. I want you to try creating a value scale. So you might have done this just gently like this in a box where you go harder at the top and then you kind of taper off at the end. I want you to actually make 5 distinct boxes. So I'm going to go ahead and show you on a separate sheet of paper what I mean. So I want you in your sketchbook or on a separate sheet of paper to make a long rectangle. Okay, from this long rectangle, I want you to divide it into 5 sections. So that's drawing 4 lines. Sorry, I think I drew 1 too many. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I guess I had it right. Good. Okay. So it does not have to be perfect. My rectangle is not perfect at all. We just basically need to be able to get those 5 values drawn. Okay. Okay, so start off by labeling this value scale so you can reference back to this later on in our art class this year. Next, number each box. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, our lightest is going to be this first box, and I actually don't even want you to shade that box. We're going to start off flipping our grip. So I'm going to hold my pencil like this with these 3 fingers. Start with my middle finger, ring finger, and pinky finger. My pencil's just resting on there. I'm going to wrap those fingers around, put my pointer finger on top, and then flip my wrist. I want to use the side of the pencil lead right here. So I'm going to lightly start shading across boxes 2, 3, 4, and 5. So I'm going horizontally, so that's side to side, just adding a light layer of shading. Okay, my pressure is fairly even, so all of these boxes look the same right now. Okay, next I'm going to actually turn this slightly. And now I'm going to, this is called cross-hatching, when you go the opposite direction. So now I'm going to be going vertically up and down. So I'm going to go the opposite direction and start applying the same even pressure. And I'm not worrying about staying in the lines on this because I just want to have some nice even pressure. So same pressure, same value across boxes 3, 4, and 5. If you'd like to keep it neat and tidy, you can just erase your lines that went outside of your box. Okay, so we now see box 1 is nothing, so it's blank. Box 2 is a little bit darker. Box 3, 4, and 5 are even darker, so you can see that. I'm almost looking at this from a distance. I think I want to add one more layer because I think it could be a little bit more darker so that we can really tell the difference between 2 and 3, boxes 2 and 3. I'm going to reference these numbers as we shade. Okay, so now that looks about even. I'm going to go back, and I know we can't really see these lines anymore. So if you'd like to redraw them, you can. Now I'm going to come back and shade 4 and 5. And this is going to go a little bit darker again. So I'm really pressing a little bit harder now to make that nice even tone. So now we have 1 value, 2, 3, and then 4. So you guessed it, 5 is where you really want to go ahead and press as hard as you can here. Not so hard that it makes a hole in your paper, but hard enough that you can tell the difference, that it's really dark. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and erase those lines outside of my box so I can see my number 5. Okay, so we have values 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, I'm going to use these values when we shade our picture. Okay, so as you can see, I started shading this flower right here in the middle. So it is a little trickier when it's color, but just know the lightest part, which is going to be right here where the light source is going to be closer to a 1 or a 2. The darker areas, like this inside of the sunflower, this dent, and then on this edge and this edge, is going to be closer to a 5. As we start looking closely at the petals, I want you to notice this highlight right here. So this is the highlight of a petal, and then on the inside it's darker, like almost a 4, going out to a 3 and a 2. Okay, so each petal is going to have that specific number that you want to look at. So if you notice, I started here. This is going to be a little bit darker. And then coming out, I'm looking at this next petal. It's going to be something similar. Of course, in between these are going to be a lot darker. You can also use a tissue or a paper towel. So I have a paper towel here I'm going to use. I just tore a little piece off. I'm wrapping my finger around this paper towel. I'm going to use this for shading. And how I'm going to use this is actually more as a blending tool. So if you notice, I am trying to get a small part here, and I'm just going to gently rub and blend. I want you to notice, I actually, since this is a really small area, I wound up blending out here. Remember when I was just showing you that a minute ago? Right here is actually the highlight. So this is the lightest part. So I can go back in actually with my eraser and just erase that little highlight. That is not a problem. So you can pull things away if you need to get back down to a 1 or a little bit lighter. Also, when you blend, you tend to fall into more of a 2, 3, 4. So if you need to lighten it up or darken it up, just adjust your pencil as needed. So I needed to erase right here, but then in my blending, I need to come back in and go darker right here. Okay, so that is blending, and like I said, this part is actually a little bit darker and a little bit darker even down here. So I'm going to go back in and really make that darker. And that just gives this drawing more value, and it creates space. Creates the illusion of space, like it's realistic. So I'm going to get my paper towel again, and I'll show you. I'm even just kind of blending in the same direction. So you see how that softened it up? And then no, on the tip of this, it's going to be, you're going to have some pencil lead. So let's say you want to start off with a little bit of a gray. Do you see how I'm just even transferring this onto here? You can absolutely do that as well. So applying this value scale that we just made onto our drawing is one way that you can color this sunflower picture or any of the fall still life grid drawings that I gave you the option of creating. In my next video, I'm going to show you how to apply color. So here's some colored pencils. I'm going to show you some more details about that in my next video.